In this podcast episode, the host welcomes DanHarris, a retired news journalist and best-selling author of 10% Happier, to explore the transformative power of mindfulness meditation and how it can help us conquer the incessant voice in our heads. Harris's journey from a high-stress career marked by a live panic attack to becoming a leading advocate for meditation offers a compelling narrative about the intersection of neuroscience, contemplative traditions, and practical self-improvement. Harris begins by recounting the pivotal moment that changed his life, a panic attack he experienced live on ABC News in 2004. This event, compounded by his struggles with anxiety and substance use, propelled him toward therapy and eventually meditation. Initially skeptical, Harris was drawn to meditation through its scientific validation and practical benefits, especially for reducing stress and anxiety. His book 10% Happier was written with a candid, irreverent tone aimed at skeptics, making meditation accessible without the usual spiritual jargon. Over the years, as meditation has become more mainstream, Harris's approach has evolved, now focusing less on convincing skeptics and more on deepening the practice itself. A central theme of the conversation is the relentless inner voice that dominates our mental landscape. Harris describes this voice as a constant chatter that can control our emotions, decisions, and behaviors without our awareness. Meditation, particularly mindfulness, offers a way to observe this voice rather than be owned by it. By noticing when the mind wanders and gently returning to the breath, practitioners begin to diminish the voice's power. This process is not about silencing thoughts, but about changing our relationship to them, seeing them as transient phenomena rather than absolute truths. Harris emphasizes that the moment of recognizing an urge and choosing not to act on it, whether it's an impulsive comment or a craving, is profoundly empowering and marks a shift from compulsiveness to consciousness. Harris's scientific upbringing made him initially wary of spiritual or metaphysical claims. What attracted him to meditation was its grounding in empirical research, showing how contemplative practices can physically change the brain and improve mental health. He appreciates that Buddhism and other Eastern traditions offer not only philosophical frameworks, but also practical techniques that have been validated by modern science. However, Harris notes that while science can be a useful entry point for many, the real transformation happens through direct experience. Intellectual understanding alone is insufficient. The magic lies in the practice itself. While mindfulness is often highlighted as the cornerstone of meditation, Harris stresses that it was never meant to stand alone. The broader contemplative path includes wisdom, ethical conduct, and especially compassion. Over time, Harris's practice has deepened to include loving-kindness meditation, which cultivates warmth and empathy toward oneself and others. This shift from a clinical observation of negative emotions like anger and greed to embracing them with kindness has been transformative. He describes a playful, almost disarming approach to difficult emotions, welcoming them rather than resisting or suppressing them, which reduces their intensity and influence. Harris also reflects on the nature of the self, acknowledging that the sense of a solid, continuous I is largely an illusion. Meditation reveals the self as a fluid, moment-to-moment process rather than a fixed entity. This insight, while subtle and sometimes elusive, helps loosen the grip of ego-driven reactions and fosters greater equanimity. Harris admits he has not fully realized this no self-understanding, but finds that even glimpses of it make life's challenges more manageable. The conversation touches on the Buddhist distinction between relative truth, the everyday world of objects, people, and events, and absolute truth, which reveals the impermanent, interconnected, and insubstantial nature of all phenomena. Harris explains that holding both perspectives simultaneously is key to a balanced life. Over-identifying with the absolute can lead to nihilism, while ignoring it traps us in suffering and attachment. Meditation helps cultivate this nuanced awareness, allowing us to engage fully with life's practical realities while maintaining a broader perspective on their transient nature. Harris discusses the importance of motivation in how we live and act. Many people fear that shifting their drive from fear or greed to love and compassion will diminish their ambition or effectiveness. Drawing on examples like the Dalai Lama, Harris argues that love is a cleaner burning fuel that actually enhances clarity, creativity, and resilience. Operating from altruistic intentions broadens one's perspective and nervous system capacity, enabling smarter and more sustainable action. Harris's personal reminder, a tattoo reading for the benefit of all beings, symbolizes his commitment to this principle, balancing self-care with a wider sense of responsibility. One of Harris's critiques of the modern mindfulness industry is its insufficient emphasis on community. He highlights the Buddha's three jewels: the teacher, the teachings, and the community, Sangha. While apps and books can introduce meditation, the relational aspect of practicing with others is crucial for sustained growth. Harris encourages seeking out teachers and like-minded peers, whether in person or through digital platforms, to create supportive environments. He acknowledges the loneliness and individualism of contemporary culture and sees community building as a vital frontier for the future of contemplative practice. Harris shares his current daily routine, which blends writing, meditation, exercise, and social connection. His meditation practice typically begins with loving kindness to cultivate warmth, followed by open awareness to observe the mind's activity without attachment. Walking meditation in the evening helps him manage restlessness and prepare for sleep. He emphasizes the importance of integrating mindfulness throughout the day in small moments, such as noticing desires and letting them pass without acting impulsively. This ongoing practice gradually rewires habitual patterns and increases mental freedom. Looking ahead, Harris envisions a shift toward a more holistic approach that reintegrates the ethical and compassionate dimensions of the Dharma alongside mindfulness. He plans to develop new platforms that foster community and live interaction, recognizing the limitations of solitary practice and digital parasocial relationships. Harris also reflects on the broader cultural and technological changes, including the rise of AI, which will make human qualities like emotional intelligence and compassion even more essential. Ultimately, the episode returns to the theme of mastering the inner voice. Harris describes meditation as a process of repeatedly waking up to the fact that the voice is just a passing phenomenon, not an absolute authority. This awareness creates space to respond more skillfully to life's challenges, rather than reacting automatically. He likens the voice to the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain. Once seen clearly, its power diminishes. The journey is ongoing and imperfect, requiring patience and self-compassion, but it offers the profound promise of upgrading one's mental software and living with greater freedom and happiness.